praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Quadash, double honors to our apostle elders which rule great millstone and wow. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa abab abal. So this is an audio book. It's about Alexander the Great. It's by Jacob Abbott, narrated by another guy, and it's a real good book. Gives you some good history on the life of Alexander the Greek, and it's actually validating, the accuracy of the Bible. But we don't need this to believe in the Bible, all right? It says the hopeful elect, we believe before we seen. But this is evidence of the Bible being accurate. All right, it's going to talk about Alexander the Greek cutting down the trees of Lebanon. I'll get the scripture which it goes back to.
Degree. In constructing works of this kind in the water, the material used is sometimes stone and sometimes earth. So far as earth is employed, it is necessary to resort to some means to prevent its spreading under the water, or being washed away by the dash of the waves at its sides. This is usually effected by driving what are called piles, which are long beams of wood pointed at the end and driven into the earth by means of powerful engines. Alexander sent parties of men into the mountains of Lebanon, where were vast forests of cedars, which were very celebrated in ancient times and which are often alluded to in the sacred scriptures. They cut down these trees and brought the stems of them to the shore, where they sharpened them at one end and drove them into the sand in order to protect the sides of their embankment. Others brought stones from the ruins and tumbled them into the sea in the direction where the pier was to be built. It was some time before the work made such progress as to attract much attention from Tyre. At length, however, when the people of the city saw it gradually increasing in size and advancing toward them, they concluded that they must engage in earnest in the work of arresting its progress.
All right, so as you heard, he sent men to chop trees down in Lebanon as he built out his empire. All right. While in Isaiah 14, which it's speaking about the downfall of the wicked, the so-called Caucasian, all right, which America is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles after they make the implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling. All right. So it says in verse 4 that thou shalt take up this proverb which we prophesy against the king of Babylon, talking about the elite of Edom, the so-called white race, which as the so-called Illuminati. It says, and say, how had the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. Salakia. How had the golden city ceased? Right? It says, Yahweh have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. So it's Yahweh doing this to the Edomite because he's going to pretty much destroy the Edomite and his kingdom. All right? And he sends prophets, which he shows his ways to the prophets so that the prophets could go out and warn the people before the judgment. It says, Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. That's why America is starting to cease. They were using America, Hollywood, right? Which we all know that holly and wood is the wood that the witches use for a wand. All right. It says, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fowler is come up against us. See? And you got the historical document right here, where they're telling you that one of the military, techniques that Alexander the Greek used was cutting down the trees to try to build a wall to save the land from falling into the ocean. Alright? So, this shows you that Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, alright, he's just doing what the Lord told him to do, created him to do, which he's a destroyer. Look what he done. He destroyed. Alexander the Greek, alright, at the end of this book, the author, it was funny to hear the narrator say it, but in the book, the author pretty much said that Alexander the Greek was pretty much a murderer and a robber. He was robbing countries and killing the people for the money, for the love of money, right? And he wanted power and status, and he didn't care what he had to do or who he had to kill or rob who he had to rob. Alright? In fact, they were saying in this book that Alexander the Greek probably has the biggest robbery, as known to man, when he took over this area. They were making gold. But they had so much gold that they were filling vessels of pots, right? Earthen pots. And when the gold would cool down, they'd break the pot, and you would literally have a humongous piece of gold shaped like a pot. It was crazy. There was a lot of information in here. I'd recommend you, if you're able to get to this book and go over it. It's a good, quick, book. It's not too heavy, but it's very edifying. In certain things that the king of Greece, the Alexander the Greek, which in this book, I'm about to do another video on this, but that he was in the Bible. Alright, Alexander the Greek is in the Bible, and that's why they took the Apocrypha out of the Bible. Alright, because they didn't want you adding, 1 + 2 getting 3. Alright, so they caused confusion so that you couldn't make sense of it. But now that the Lord has broke the seals, Yahweh Shai has opened our understanding, alright, to prepare us for salvation. But once again, this is what's the judgment for these Edomites. Which, hey, that Alexander the Greek, he was a murdering, bloodthirsty piece of shit, really. Now, he treated the Israelites better, right, than he treated the rest of them. But as soon as he died, his generals fucked us up, They killed us. Alright, it says in the book of Maccabees that after Alexander the Greek died, his kingdom was split up amongst his generals, and they were very, very vicious towards the Israelites. The Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which the Lord has, as his people. It says in Isaiah 14:1, for Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Alright, so the Lord's going to have mercy on Jacob because he loves Jacob. He's going to choose Israel, and he's going to show his hatred to Esau. Alright? And Esau was allowed to get, conquer, in the Greeks, as Romans, as the European nations, and now as America, right? But it's over for them. That's That's why it's crumbling and the system is dwindling. It's the end of the so-called white man system.